Four close friends embark on a dream trip to Paris, celebrating their graduation and embracing new adventures. But their joyful vacation turns into a chilling mystery when they vanish without a trace. 2 years later, Parisian police stumble upon a shocking discovery in a dark alley near the Seine, reigniting the investigation. What really happened to these young women, and what secrets lie hidden beneath the City of Lights? The truth is darker and more unsettling than anyone imagined. ****. It was a cold, gray November morning in Paris, the type that usually makes locals rush past without noticing their surroundings. Rue des Lombards, normally lively with cafes and small shops, was oddly quiet today. The air felt heavy, almost suffocating, as if carrying the weight of secrets waiting to be uncovered. Officer Julien Laurent knelt carefully on the wet pavement, his eyes scanning each detail as rain gently pattered onto his jacket. Yellow police tape fluttered slightly in the wind, cordoning off the narrow, dark alleyway just a few steps from the Seine. Julien had walked these streets countless times before, but today something was profoundly different today. He sensed a tragedy resurfacing from beneath the city's elegant veneer. He carefully lifted a damp green beret from the ground, holding it delicately with gloved fingers. Nearby lay a bright red scarf, soaking in a small puddle, next to a purple suitcase lying strangely untouched despite the dirt. A few steps away, he saw a blue blouse, crumpled and stained, and finally, a small brown leather purse with its contents scattered around, a lipstick, a folded map of Paris, a pair of broken sunglasses. Each object seemed to tell a painful, silent story. Julien sighed heavily as he glanced around. There were no footprints, no obvious signs of a struggle. It was as if these personal items had simply materialized overnight. His radio crackled softly. "Officer Laurent, we've confirmed the items match the belongings of the missing tourists from the Eiffel Tower case." Julien's heart tightened. The Eiffel Tower case, the story of 4 young women who vanished without a trace 2 years earlier, shaking Paris and capturing international attention. He felt the heaviness again, imagining the families who'd been waiting desperately for answers that never came. The alley, usually unremarkable, now felt haunted, charged with a dark energy that sent shivers down his spine. He carefully bagged each item, knowing these silent belongings would reopen wounds for many. 2 years earlier, Charles de Gaulle Airport buzzed with excitement. Lavra Martins, Anna Collins, Camille Laurent, and Sophia Nakamura had just arrived in Paris, their smiles contagious, eyes wide with anticipation. Their laughter echoed through the terminal as they dragged their luggage toward the exit. Lara, always cheerful and optimistic, adjusted her signature green beret. "Finally, girls, we made it." "About time," Anna joked, her red scarf wrapped loosely around her neck. "I thought we'd never leave customs." Camille smiled quietly, hugging a small book close to her chest. Sophia meticulously checked her purple suitcase, reassuring herself for the 10th time that everything was organized. Outside, Paris welcomed them with bright sunshine. The 4 friends stood together, taking in the romantic atmosphere of the city they dreamed of visiting for years. "Selfie time," Lavra exclaimed, pulling out her phone. "We have to capture every moment." Their laughter was genuine as they posed together, carefree and filled with dreams for the future. Their photo in front of the Eiffel Tower, posted minutes later, would soon become heartbreakingly famous. Back in the present, Detective Marie Dubois paced anxiously at the station. News of the discovered items had spread quickly, reigniting public curiosity and painful memories. Reporters had already gathered outside, clamoring for answers. Detective Dubois rubbed her temples, overwhelmed by the sudden pressure. The Eiffel Tower disappearance had haunted her ever since the case had gone cold 2 years ago. Now it was back, refusing to stay buried. She could still remember the despair of the families when she'd explained the investigation had stalled, each mother's eyes reflecting an agony she could never erase from memory. Marie, her colleague Lucas interrupted gently, holding a sealed evidence box. These just arrived from Laurent. Marie opened the box carefully, studying the objects inside. She recognized them instantly, the belongings she'd memorized from endless missing posters and evidence files. "Have we informed the families?" she asked quietly. "Yes. They're on their way here now," Lucas replied softly. She felt a pang in her chest, imagining their reactions. The discovery would offer hope, but hope could be devastating if it didn't lead anywhere meaningful. The station erupted into a quiet chaos as family members arrived, their faces strained with a mixture of fear and cautious optimism. Marie watched quietly from her office window, feeling their anguish as if it were her own. This case had become deeply personal, each detail etched permanently into her mind. A gentle knock at the door pulled Marie from her thoughts. Lucas entered again, holding an envelope cautiously. "Marie, this arrived moments ago. No return address." Marie took it carefully, feeling her heart quicken. An anonymous letter, rarely a good sign. She opened it slowly, eyes quickly scanning the handwritten words. Her pulse accelerated with every sentence. "You never looked in the right places. They were on the boat on the Seine. Find the boat. Find the truth." Marie's breath caught. The boat on the Seine. She had no record of a boat trip taken by the girls. Her mind raced with possibilities. Could this tip finally unravel the mystery that had haunted Paris for 2 years? She looked up sharply, determination clear in her eyes. "Lucas, find out everything about boat rentals on the Seine the night they disappeared. Now." Lucas nodded and quickly left, sensing her urgency. Marie reread the letter, her hands trembling slightly. She felt closer than ever to the truth, and yet an unshakable dread crept into her heart, warning her this was just the beginning of something much darker, much more complex. Outside, rain continued gently falling, washing away the normality of the day as Paris braced itself once again for the unraveling of a mystery that refused to remain silent. The Parisian sky was bleak and overcast, a blanket of clouds pressing down on Detective Marie Deboer as she stepped briskly toward the docks lining the Seine. It had been barely 24 hours since the mysterious anonymous letter arrived, pointing them toward a private boat tour the missing girls supposedly took the night they vanished. Marie adjusted her coat against the damp November chill, nodding to Lucas, who stood waiting, already holding a notepad full of scribbled details. "What do we have so far?" she asked, eyes scanning the quiet docks, boats bobbing gently in the river's current. Lucas flipped through pages swiftly. "Jean-Pierre Lemaire owns the small private boat company called Moonlit Seine Tours. Quiet operation, mostly romantic private tours for tourists. He denies remembering our girls specifically, but his records show otherwise." Marie felt a twinge of irritation mixed with suspicion. Convenient amnesia, isn't it? Lucas shrugged. "And there's more. He's got a colorful past 2 arrests for fraud, never convicted. Complaints from tourists accusing him of overcharging, aggressive behavior. Nothing violent, but definitely suspicious." Marie absorbed this silently, then glanced around. "And security footage?" Lucas hesitated. "That's the oddest part. Footage from every camera around the dock that night was altered or erased. Someone skilled covered their tracks meticulously." Marie's instincts stirred uneasily. This was no random disappearance. "Bring him in for questioning immediately." Lucas nodded and headed quickly away, leaving Marie gazing silently at the murky waters. The river held its secrets, dark and undisturbed beneath its gentle surface. 2 years earlier, laughter echoed brightly through the cozy Airbnb apartment in Montmartre. Camille Lawrence sat cross-legged on the floor, eyes twinkling mischievously. As she unfolded a printed reservation, "I have a surprise for tonight," Camille announced cheerfully, capturing everyone's attention instantly. Lavra, adjusting her favorite green beret, raised her eyebrows playfully. "Should we be scared or excited?" "Definitely excited," Camille said warmly. "I booked us a private boat ride on the Seine. It'll be beautiful. Just us and the sparkling city lights." Anna's eyes lit up instantly, wrapping her beloved red scarf around her neck. "Camille, that's perfect." Sophia, carefully folding clothes into her purple suitcase, smiled softly. "Exactly what we need. Quiet, calm. Paris under the stars." Lavra hugged Camille warmly. "You're amazing, Cam. Tonight will be unforgettable." Camille smiled quietly, hugging her little book tightly as if holding back secrets. "You have no idea." Back in the stark, gray interrogation room, Jean-Pierre Lemaire sat, eyes narrowed in annoyance, fingers tapping impatiently against the table. His weathered face and unkempt appearance suggested a man who valued his independence and resented authority. Marie leaned forward, voice calm but firm. "Monsieur Lemaire, we know the girls booked your boat the night they disappeared. Records confirm this clearly. Why deny it?" He shrugged indifferently. "Dozens of tourists book my boat. I can't remember every pretty face." Lucas pressed harder. "Strange you wouldn't recall this group specifically. 4 young women, extremely visible disappearance, worldwide headlines, and you have no memory at all?" Jean-Pierre's eyes darkened momentarily, irritation simmering beneath a composed surface. "I don't follow the news. I live simply. I run my boat. That's all." Marie studied him carefully. Something didn't match. He was hiding something, but what? They had no direct proof, only suspicion. Jean-Pierre raised his voice suddenly, defiance clear. "Am I under arrest? If not, I have a business to run." Reluctantly, Marie nodded to Lucas. "We'll be in touch." 2 days passed quickly, filled with frustration and dead ends. Marie found herself pacing her small office, sifting through files again and again. Lucas finally entered, breathless, eyes wide with urgency. "Marie, we need to search Jean-Pierre's house. Now." She straightened sharply. "Why?" Lucas dropped photographs onto her desk, recently recovered from a deleted cloud account. Marie picked them up slowly, disbelief etching onto her features. The images clearly showed Jean-Pierre smiling warmly beside Lavra, Anna, Camille, and Sophia at a London cafe months before their fateful Paris trip. Shock and confusion twisted inside Marie. How could their families not know this? Lucas shook his head, equally baffled. Maybe the girls kept secrets even from their families. "But this confirms Jean-Pierre lied to us." Marie stood decisively. "Get a warrant immediately." Jean-Pierre's modest home, situated in an older Parisian neighborhood near Belleville, offered no resistance as officers pushed open the door, warrant clearly presented. The house was cluttered but comfortable, filled with old boating memorabilia. Books and souvenirs from around Europe. Marie moved methodically, observing details. Jean-Pierre's eccentricities were evident: nautical maps plastered haphazardly, a half-finished bottle of Bordeaux, scattered papers covered in hastily scribbled notes. Lucas approached cautiously, holding a box from Jean-Pierre's office. "Marie, look." He unfolded another photo, this time clearer, carefully preserved. The image showed the 4 young women smiling next to Jean-Pierre, this time at a small cafe in Lisbon. Another city they'd visited earlier that year. Marie's blood ran cold. The connection was undeniable. This man wasn't just their boat captain. He knew them, followed them perhaps. But why? Lucas hesitated, voice barely above a whisper. Maybe he was working with someone else, Marie. Maybe this is bigger than just him. Marie's eyes widened with realization. Lucas was right. This puzzle was deeper, darker than they'd imagined. Suddenly, her phone rang sharply. She answered. Immediately, an anxious voice from headquarters spoke rapidly. Marie listened closely, heart pounding. We have a serious problem. Jean-Pierre didn't show up to his dock today. Neighbors haven't seen him since yesterday morning. He's completely vanished. Marie felt dread pooling deep inside her chest. Their prime suspect, the man holding crucial answers, had now disappeared, leaving only confusion and suspicion behind. She looked at Lucas sharply, conveying urgency and determination in a single glance. Jean-Pierre knows far more than he's telling us. He's not running from guilt alone, he's running from something much worse. Find him. Back at the police station, chaos erupted with news of Jean-Pierre's sudden disappearance. Marie stood quietly amidst the storm of activity, contemplating the Seine's dark waters again. What secrets did that river hold? The investigation had become murkier, shadows lengthening around them, concealing dangers yet to be revealed. She felt as if they were chasing ghosts through fog, each discovery leading only deeper into uncertainty. Marie turned, quietly walking back to her office, determination set in her eyes. Jean-Pierre Lemaire's disappearance wasn't the end of their search, it marked only the beginning of a deeper, more terrifying mystery. As night fell again over Paris, the city of lights felt unusually dim, haunted by questions no one dared yet to answer. Detective Marie Dubois sat quietly at the center of the crowded conference room, feeling as if she were in the eye of a storm. Cameras clicked incessantly, reporters shouted their questions impatiently, and behind them, families of the missing girls stood, eyes pleading desperately for answers. Jean-Pierre Lemaire's sudden disappearance had thrown the investigation into a spiral, and now the pressure was unbearable. Detective Dubois, is Jean-Pierre Lemaire the mastermind behind this disappearance? A reporter shouted aggressively. Thrusting a microphone forward, Marie remained calm, voice steady, though inside she was anything but composed. Jean-Pierre Lemaire is currently considered a suspect and a missing person. Our investigation continues actively. Another journalist interrupted sharply. Has there been any confirmation this might involve human trafficking? The mention of trafficking caused murmurs and gasps from the families, whose eyes widened in terror at such implications. Marie felt her throat tighten but kept her voice professional. All possibilities remain open. We will pursue every lead until we find these young women. She left the podium amidst a whirlwind of further questions, retreating swiftly into her office where Lucas awaited, looking pale and exhausted. Marie. It's chaos out there, Lucas sighed, sinking into a chair. Media speculations are spiraling out of control. Theories of trafficking, kidnapping rings, it's escalating quickly. She rubbed her forehead in frustration. We need concrete answers fast. Lucas straightened, suddenly alert. Then, you'll want to see this. He carefully placed a worn notebook onto her desk. We found Jean-Pierre's diary hidden beneath a floorboard during the search. Marie eyed the notebook cautiously, then slowly opened it. The pages were filled with scribbled entries, strange symbols, and cryptic notes. Her eyes settled on a recurring phrase, the Brotherhood of Silence. What is this? She asked softly, confusion etched deeply into her features. Some sort of secret organization, Lucas answered grimly. They target young women promising freedom from life's disappointments, frustrations, and pressures. Marie's fingers brushed gently over the inked words, her heartbeat quickening. This could be far bigger than Jean-Pierre. Lucas nodded solemnly. I already ran preliminary searches. Similar disappearances of young women across Europe. Same profile: educated, restless, disillusioned. Each vanished quietly, leaving almost no trace. Marie exhaled slowly. They were easy targets, emotionally vulnerable and easily swayed. She turned the page carefully, and her breath caught as she recognized a familiar name clearly written multiple times: Camille Laurent. 6 months before the Paris trip, Camille Laurent quietly entered a small, discreet coffee shop tucked away in Lisbon. Her eyes scanned the dim room nervously, heart racing. An elegantly dressed woman waved her over, smiling warmly. Camille, the woman said softly, extending a gentle hand. I'm Helena. Welcome. Camille shook Helena's hand timidly, sitting down across from her. Helena's gaze was penetrating, yet kind, instantly comforting. I've read your emails, Camille. You seem burdened. Camille hesitated, gripping her small book tightly. Life feels meaningless lately. Nothing satisfies me. I feel trapped. Helena's eyes softened knowingly. You're not alone, Camille. Society has conditioned us all to chase illusions of success and happiness. But true liberation exists elsewhere, hidden from view. Liberation? Camille repeated softly, intrigued. Helena smiled mysteriously. I represent a very private group, the Brotherhood of Silence. We offer a life beyond society's empty promises. We provide purpose, meaning, true community. Camille leaned closer, captivated. How does it work? Helena gently touched Camille's hand. First, you must detach fully from your old life. Join us, Camille, and you'll finally feel complete. Camille nodded slowly, her mind captivated by promises of fulfillment she desperately sought. Helena handed her a small card discreetly, whispering softly, when you're ready, call this number. We'll arrange everything. Camille tucked the card carefully into her purse, unaware that this meeting marked the start of an irreversible path. Back in Paris, Marie closed the diary slowly, heart heavy with dread. Camille Laurent had been deliberately targeted, manipulated, and now she and her friends were lost in something sinister. Lucas entered abruptly, holding printed sheets filled with faces young women from across Europe. Marie, these are other victims, all vanished similarly, isolated incidents that were never connected before. Marie carefully studied each face, recognizing the patterns emerging clearly, each woman's eyes reflecting quiet dissatisfaction and vulnerability. This organization is sophisticated, Lucas, skilled, strategic. Lucas exhaled sharply. And Jean-Pierre was recruiting. He met these girls multiple times, preparing them. Marie nodded grimly. But where did he take them, and why did he run? Lucas shook his head. He might be in danger himself. Maybe he wanted out. Or maybe he knows we're close. Marie's mind raced, urgency intensifying. The Brotherhood operated in shadows, hiding carefully. She knew the media circus outside was nothing compared to the complexity they were facing. As the days passed, pressure continued building. Marie faced constant demands for updates from the media, the family's pleas becoming more desperate by the hour. Yet, every lead seemed to vanish into darkness until late one rainy afternoon. Marie's phone rang sharply again. She answered instantly, her voice tense. Dubois speaking. The front desk sounded uncertain. Detective, there's someone. Hear a young woman insisting she must speak directly to you. She claims to have critical information. Marie felt her pulse quicken. Send her up immediately. Minutes later, the office door opened slowly, revealing a thin young woman. Drenched and visibly shaken, eyes darting nervously around. Marie stood carefully, offering a comforting smile. "Come in. You're safe here." The girl entered hesitantly, voice trembling slightly. "Detective Dubois, my name is Emma. I escaped. I escaped from the Brotherhood of Silence." Marie's heart skipped violently. "Emma, please sit down. You're saying you escaped?" Emma nodded, clutching the edges of her soaked jacket tightly. "I was there. I know exactly where they keep the girls. I saw Camille, Lavra, Sophia, and Anna." Marie steadied her breathing, pulse racing with adrenaline. The breakthrough had finally arrived. Emma leaned forward, eyes wide with fear and urgency. "But detective, you must hurry. They're planning to move everyone again very soon. If we don't act now, we'll lose them forever." Marie felt the weight of Emma's words settle heavily upon her shoulders, recognizing that the case had just entered its most critical phase. The battle for answers was about to intensify dramatically. Outside, the storm clouds darkened further, as if Paris itself was bracing for the truth, hidden deeply within shadows about to be brought violently into the light. Emma's voice trembled as she clutched the cup of warm tea. Sitting across from Detective Marie Dubois in a small interrogation room at the police headquarters. The room was quiet except for Emma's ragged breathing, a stark reminder of the ordeal. She had survived. "They told us we'd finally be free," Emma began softly, eyes distant, haunted by memories. "Free from our meaningless lives, our pain, our disappointment." It sounded perfect. Marie leaned forward slightly, her eyes locked gently onto Emma's troubled face. "And then what happened?" Emma swallowed hard, her fingers tightening around the cup. "They took us to a castle deep in the French countryside. It's hidden behind thick woods and hills, completely isolated. No phones, no internet, just silence. Did they hurt you?" Marie asked quietly. Emma shook her head slowly. "Not physically, but emotionally. They broke us. They told us everything we knew about the world was a lie. Slowly, we believed them. Soon, we lost track of days, weeks. It was like being trapped in a dream." Marie felt chills down her spine. "And the girls, Laura, Anna, Sophia, Camille, they're there?" "Yes," Emma nodded anxiously. "They arrived after me." Camille seemed calm, almost like she knew something we didn't. But the others were confused, scared. Marie exchanged a glance with Lucas, who was quietly taking notes nearby. "Did you escape alone?" Emma's eyes filled with tears. "Yes, I slipped out at night. I ran through woods, fields, hiding in barns, terrified they'd catch me. I couldn't save the others." "You've been incredibly brave," Marie assured her gently. "We'll find them, I promise." Emma's voice trembled with urgency. "You have to hurry. They'll move again. They know you're close." Within hours, the station buzzed with tense activity. Maps spread across tables, teams assembled rapidly. Yet, resistance built swiftly. 2 calls from higher authorities urging caution, delays, bureaucratic hurdles. Marie quickly recognized these as tactics designed to stall their investigation. Lucas stormed into her office, visibly frustrated. "They're blocking our warrants, Marie. Someone influential doesn't want this investigation going further." Mary's jaw tightened in determination. "Then we find another way." As they sifted through stacks of documents recovered from Jean-Pierre's home, Lucas suddenly paused, holding a thick folder marked confidential. "Marie, look at this." Inside were financial documents, meticulously tracing significant payments, linked to Lucien Moreau, a powerful Parisian businessman renowned for philanthropy. Marie's eyes narrowed. "Moreau? He's funding the Brotherhood?" Lucas nodded grimly. "He's been quietly funneling money to them for years, carefully hidden through charities and trusts. "Get him in here immediately," Marie instructed sharply. Adrenaline surging. We need answers. Late evening fell over Paris when Lucien Moreau was escorted quietly into a private interrogation room. Elegant and composed, Moreau settled calmly into the chair, looking entirely unbothered. "Detective Dubois," he greeted smoothly, a slight smile curling his lips. "I assure you, this must be a misunderstanding." Marie cut directly to the point. "We have evidence linking your financial activities to the Brotherhood of Silence. Explain." Moreau leaned back casually, confidence unshaken. "I support many charitable causes. Perhaps funds were misappropriated, but I have no knowledge of abductions or disappearances." Lucas stepped forward firmly, laying photos of Moreau on a boat alongside Camille and her friends. "Yet here you are, the night these women disappeared." Moreau studied the photographs calmly, eyes betraying no surprise. "Ah, yes, I do recall now. Camille Laurent arranged that evening. She assured me her friends were eager participants." Marie's stomach tightened. "Camille arranged this?" Moreau nodded slowly, eyes calculating. "She was deeply connected to our philosophy. I believe the other young women understood as well." Marie stared coldly at Moreau. "Where are they now?" "I sincerely have no idea," Moreau replied smoothly. "My involvement ended that evening. Camille promised they'd be safely escorted to their new home. Beyond that, I've no knowledge." Marie sensed the veiled threat behind Moreau's polished demeanor. "We will uncover your full involvement, Monsieur Moreau." He smiled thinly. "I welcome your thoroughness, detective." 2 years earlier, the gentle rocking of the boat lulled Lavra, Aina, Sophia, and Camille into relaxation as it moved along the shimmering Seine. Paris glowed warmly around them, lights reflecting softly off the river's surface. Lucien Moreau stood calmly at the wheel, guiding the vessel smoothly. Lavra whispered happily to Camille, "This was a perfect idea." Camille smiled quietly, eyes focused distantly. "Everything will change tonight." "What do you mean?" Aina asked, curiously, her red scarf fluttering gently in the evening breeze. Camille glanced at Moreau, nodding subtly. Moments later, he approached, serving glasses of champagne. "A toast," he announced warmly, "to freedom, truth, and a new beginning." Unaware, the girls sipped slowly. Within minutes, the world blurred gently around them, consciousness fading. Rapidly, as the boat continued silently into darkness, back at headquarters, frustration simmered intensely. Moreau had left confidently, protected by expensive lawyers. Marie paced anxiously, thoughts racing. Lucas entered suddenly, energized. "Marie, we might have something." Satellite imaging from 2 years ago shows suspicious movement near an isolated chateau south of Paris, exactly where Emma described. Marie studied the blurry images carefully. "Send a team immediately. We'll go ourselves." By dawn, they drove silently through winding roads, approaching the rural heartland of France. Mist drifted softly across fields and hills, hiding secrets within its calm beauty. Finally, they stopped, viewing through binoculars a distant medieval chateau half hidden by dense woods. Guards patrolled discreetly around its perimeter. Lucas breathed tensely. "It's exactly as Emma described. Remote, heavily guarded." Marie nodded, determination growing fierce within her. "This is it." She signaled her team silently, preparations quickly underway. Authorities now had no choice but to support immediate action, resistance overcome by undeniable evidence. Marie felt her heart pounding steadily, recognizing the gravity of the moment. The castle held the truth, buried beneath layers of deception and manipulation. Soon they would know everything. As sunlight pierced through morning clouds, the chateau stood solemnly ahead, waiting patiently, unaware that today its secrets would finally be brought forcefully into the open. Detective Marie Dubois felt adrenaline pulse through her veins as the sun began its slow ascent, breaking through a layer of mist and casting a pale glow over the imposing chateau. A thick silence cloaked the woods surrounding the castle, punctuated only by muted footsteps as officers positioned themselves, their eyes sharply trained on the guarded perimeter ahead. Marie signaled quietly, her heart hammering in her chest. "Teams ready? Move in carefully. Remember, we must secure the girls." Unharmed, the officers nodded silently, spreading out through the thick underbrush. Every movement was calculated, every breath controlled. Marie glanced at Lucas, who nodded reassuringly, gripping his firearm with steady hands. "Let's go," she whispered. Suddenly, chaos erupted. Police stormed forward, shouting orders clearly through loudspeakers. Guards scattered across the chateau grounds scrambled to react, drawing weapons hastily as confusion seized their ranks. Gunfire shattered the peaceful morning air, sharp and abrupt, echoing harshly off the castle's ancient stone walls. Marie sprinted forward alongside her team, ducking low behind stone walls as bullets zipped dangerously close. "Secure the entrance, quickly," she commanded, urgency sharpening her voice. Guards surrendered rapidly under the overwhelming assault, hands raised shakily. Marie's team surged into the castle swiftly, pushing open heavy wooden doors that groaned in protest. Her breath quickened as she stepped inside, ready for anything. But what awaited her was something entirely unexpected. Inside, a surreal stillness greeted them. Dozens of young women, neatly dressed and visibly calm, stood quietly around the chateau's grand hall, eyes wide with curiosity rather than fear. The atmosphere was unsettlingly peaceful. Marie froze momentarily, disoriented by the serenity. "We're here to help," she declared clearly, breaking the unnatural quiet. "You're safe now." To her astonishment, none moved forward. Instead, their eyes shifted nervously among themselves, uncertain but not relieved. Lucas approached Marie cautiously. "They're not restrained. They seem content." Marie's heart sank heavily. The depth of psychological manipulation was suddenly, chillingly apparent. "They don't realize they're prisoners," she murmured softly, scanning the room. Her gaze landed abruptly on four familiar faces near the grand staircase: Lavra, Aina, Sophia, and Camille. Her pulse surged sharply. Lara stood silently, her once vibrant eyes dimmed with quiet resignation. Aina clutched her red scarf protectively, distant and cautious. Sophia's meticulous composure had hardened into tense vigilance, and Camille stood calmly, her expression serene yet guarded. Marie stepped forward gently, voice softened. "Lavra, Aina, Sophia, Camille, your families have waited desperately to see you again. We've come to take you home." But Lara took a hesitant step back, confusion flickering across her face. "We're already home." Marie felt shock and disbelief grip her tightly. Aina echoed softly, "We're safe here. You don't understand." Sophia nodded slowly, voice steady yet deeply troubled. "They've shown us the truth. We don't belong outside anymore." Camille remained silent, eyes locked on Marie with piercing intensity. Marie shook her head urgently, emotion tightening her voice. "They've lied to you, manipulated you. You're prisoners here, even if you don't see the bars." Camille finally spoke, voice calm but resolute. "No, detective, you're mistaken. Here, we're free, truly free." 2 years earlier, the girls had awakened slowly, groggy and disoriented, inside the luxurious rooms of the chateau. Camille, already awake and alert, calmly reassured them. Don't panic. We're safe. This is our new beginning. Lavra, frightened and confused, had clung desperately to Aina. Camille, what happened? Where are we? Camille approached gently, her voice soothing, persuasive. We're in a place without pain, without pressure or expectations. Trust me, this will change our lives. Initially hesitant, the friends had gradually succumbed to Camille's powerful reassurance, drawn deeply into the Brotherhood's philosophical teachings. Yet, weeks later, the truth became apparent. None were allowed to leave, their freedom merely an illusion. Aina had confronted Camille angrily. You lied. We're prisoners here. Camille's eyes remained calm, determined. We're prisoners. Only if we resist. Accept this, Aina. It's our reality now. Lavra pleaded desperately. Camille, please. Help us leave. But Camille had only shaken her head firmly. I can't do that. This is where we belong. Soon you'll see. As months passed, their resistance diminished under the Brotherhood's relentless psychological pressure, hope fading slowly. Replaced by quiet acceptance, Camille became their silent guardian, encouraging them gently to embrace their new reality. Unaware she herself had become the Brotherhood's greatest victim, back in the chateau's hall, tension thickened dangerously as Marie desperately tried reaching the girls. Please listen to me. Your families need you. They're heartbroken, lost without you. Lavra hesitated briefly, uncertainty flickering in her eyes. Sophia glanced nervously at Camille, silently seeking guidance. But Camille stepped forward protectively, voice unshakably firm. This is manipulation. You're the ones misleading us, Detective. Marie's patience frayed. Camille, you've been manipulated. This place is built on lies. Camille shook her head slowly, compassion softening her gaze slightly. I once believed in those lies you call freedom. The Brotherhood saved us from them. The room fell into an uneasy silence, police and young women locked in tense opposition. Lucas stepped forward softly, gently urging Marie aside. What now, Marie? He whispered anxiously. We must convince them, Marie whispered urgently. They must choose to leave willingly. Lucas's voice tightened nervously. Camille holds influence over them. Without her, the others might follow. Marie turned decisively, speaking gently yet firmly. Camille, help your friends. They trust you deeply. Lead them home. But Camille stood defiantly, unmovable. I already have. Night descended quietly over the chateau, casting shadows across stone walls. Police secured the area cautiously, yet tension remained palpable. Marie sat quietly, considering desperately their limited options. Convincing the women, especially Camille, would require careful effort and deep patience. Suddenly, Lavra approached hesitantly, eyes shimmering with uncertainty. Detective ... Can you really take us home? Marie's heart filled with hope. Absolutely. Your family never stopped searching. Laura's voice trembled, eyes watery with sudden longing. I want to leave. Aina and Sophia do too. But Camille ... She won't let go. Marie touched Laura's shoulder gently. Let us talk to Camille again. Together, they approached Camille, who stood quietly near a grand window, eyes fixed thoughtfully on the dark forest beyond. Camille, Marie began gently. Your friends wish to leave. Come with us, please. Camille turned slowly, her face calm but deeply resolute. I understand. If they want to leave, I won't stop them. Lavra exhaled shakily, relieved. Then come too, Cam, please. Camille's voice softened painfully, yet remained decisive. I can't. This is my home now. I've chosen this freely. Marie felt a deep sorrow settle heavily upon her. Camille, please reconsider. Camille's expression hardened gently. "I'm sorry, detective. My decision is final." Lavra cried softly, heartbroken. "Camille." But Camille gently reached out, comforting Laura warmly yet firmly. "Go, live your life fully, but mine stays here." Marie watched helplessly, recognizing the deep psychological chains that bound Camille, chains stronger than any physical confinement. She turned slowly, sadness and determination mingling fiercely within her. They would rescue Lara, Aina, and Sophia tonight, but Camille's battle had become far more complicated. Outside, darkness enveloped the chateau completely, a profound symbol of the darkness still imprisoning Camille's mind, holding her captive in a prison no physical force could shatter. The chateau stood eerily silent, bathed in the dim glow of dawn. Detective Marie Dubourg stood quietly at the bottom of the grand staircase, watching Camille Laurent carefully. Camille's posture was firm, her expression calm and resolute, her voice clear and confident as she faced the authorities gathered around her. "You think you're saving us?" Camille questioned softly, her eyes deeply thoughtful. "You're convinced this is liberation, but you're mistaken. True freedom is exactly what we've found here." Marie shook her head gently, frustration simmering beneath her controlled surface. "Camille, the Brotherhood lied to you. You've been manipulated." Camille's voice grew sharper, her conviction unwavering. "Manipulated? Yes, perhaps at first. But isn't society itself built on manipulation? We chase illusions, careers, money, status. Here, at least, the illusion is transparent, pure." Marie took a cautious step forward, voice measured, earnest. "And yet, you cannot leave. That isn't freedom." Camille met Marie's gaze evenly, her words cutting deeply. "Freedom is a state of mind. Here, we surrendered willingly, exchanging superficial liberty for profound peace. You can't see it because you haven't felt the emptiness we once lived." Marie sighed softly, feeling the enormity of Camille's psychological imprisonment. "Your friends felt it too, Camille. Yet they want to return. Doesn't that tell you something?" Camille glanced at Laura, Aina, and Sophia, who stood hesitantly behind Marie, visibly conflicted. Her voice softened slightly, tinged with sadness. "They never embraced the truth fully. I won't hold them here against their will, but I can't abandon what I've found." Lucas gently placed a comforting hand on Marie's shoulder, signaling her to step back momentarily. Specialists from psychological intervention teams had arrived, moving quietly forward to speak individually with each young woman. Hours later, authorities quietly escorted Lucien Moreau back into the chateau, this time under heavy guard. Moreau's composure had faded slightly, his expression lined with fatigue as he faced Marie privately in a secluded chamber. "What was the true purpose, Moreau?" Marie demanded, voice sharp and uncompromising. Lucien hesitated briefly, eyes filled with reluctant honesty. "Initially, it was an experiment, detective. An idealistic attempt to offer disillusioned youth an escape from society's pressures." Marie raised an eyebrow skeptically, but it became twisted. Moreau nodded slowly, regret evident in his tone. "Power is intoxicating. Control, even more so." The Brotherhood spiraled beyond idealism into obsession. Our methods became manipulative, coercive. Freedom became captivity, cleverly disguised. Marie pressed further. "Why, Camille?" Moreau's voice softened remorsefully. She believed deeply. Her faith in our philosophy made her both our strongest advocate and our greatest victim. She brought others willingly, convinced she was saving them. Marie exhaled slowly, struggling to maintain calm. "You destroyed their lives." He shook his head sadly. "We offered them meaning, however misguided. Unfortunately, meaning can become another prison if manipulated cruelly enough. Over the following days, the chateau transformed into a temporary psychological recovery center. Specialists worked tirelessly with each young woman, gently unraveling layers of manipulation. Methods were revealed: isolation, repetitive messaging, sleep deprivation, intense emotional bonding, all carefully orchestrated to reshape their sense of reality. Lavra sat quietly with her mother, tears streaming gently down her cheeks as reality slowly pierced through the veil. Aina tightly embraced her father, her red scarf held loosely, finally feeling warmth again. Sophia, surrounded by her relieved family, finally allowed herself to feel genuine relief, her structured defenses collapsing. Camille observed silently from afar, her expression inscrutable, distant, firmly guarding the fortress within her own. Marie approached her cautiously, attempting once more to reach her. "Camille, your friends are finally free. Why can't you accept the truth too?" Camille's gaze was steady, voice profoundly quiet. "It's too late for me, detective. I've traveled too deeply into this path. My identity, everything I am, rests within these walls now." Marie felt a profound sadness as she whispered softly, "It's never too late, Camille." Camille smiled faintly, her expression heartbreakingly resigned. For some prisons, the keys are lost forever. Days later, families prepared to return home with their daughters. Emotions ran high, relief mixed heavily with sorrow, each understanding how close they'd come to losing one another permanently. Lavra paused hesitantly, turning toward Camille, eyes filled with deep sorrow. "Camille, please reconsider. You're not alone." Aina and Sophia stood behind Lavra, each silently echoing her plea. Camille gently approached, embracing Lavra warmly, her voice filled with quiet strength. "I am not alone here either. My choice isn't your burden. Live fully, Lavra." Lavra sobbed softly as Camille stepped back, watching quietly as her friends departed. The chateau emptied slowly, leaving only Camille standing quietly within its silent halls, surrounded by memories, shadows, and whispers of a philosophy that had consumed her entirely. As twilight fell gently over the chateau, police officers carefully sealed the perimeter. Marie stood silently beside Lucas, observing the solemn fortress quietly from afar. Inside, Camille remained still, looking thoughtfully out toward the encroaching darkness. Utterly alone yet disturbingly at peace. Marie sighed softly, reflecting deeply. She built her own prison, Lucas, brick by brick, thought by thought. Lucas nodded solemnly. "Invisible walls are sometimes the hardest to break." Marie nodded slowly, sadness weighing heavily. "And the hardest to detect until it's too late." They stood silently, watching darkness slowly claim the chateau entirely, a powerful symbol of the prisons built within human minds, far stronger and more resilient than any physical structure could ever be. Long after the case closed, Marie found herself reflecting often on Camille's choice, haunted by unanswered questions and profound lessons. Manipulation, freedom, human nature's deepest vulnerabilities, all intertwined disturbingly within Camille's story. Camille's fate served as a powerful reminder of the fragility of the human spirit and the dangers lurking behind seemingly noble intentions. The line between liberation and captivity, truth and deception, proved astonishingly thin. Marie realized that Camille's invisible prison was built not just by manipulation, but by desperation for meaning, belonging, purpose, fundamental human needs dangerously exploited. And though Camille remained trapped, her experience illuminated critical truths about vulnerability, ethics, and the profound human capacity both for manipulation and resilience. Years later, Marie revisited the chateau, long abandoned yet strangely peaceful. Standing quietly within its silent halls, memories flooded powerfully through her mind. She whispered softly into the quiet darkness, hoping her thoughts might somehow reach Camille wherever life had led her. Freedom is complicated, Camille. Perhaps it's true we all choose our prisons, but maybe true liberation comes simply from recognizing them. Silence answered her softly, profound and reflective. The chateau remained quiet, its walls eternally preserving stories of those who once sought meaning within its walls. Unaware how swiftly meaning could become captivity, Marie departed slowly, carrying forward Camille's story, determined never to forget the invisible prisons we all risk creating within ourselves.